All right, traders, make sure you stay till the end of this video if you are truly interested in trading the best setups at the best prices. We are approaching some key critical levels, and there's going to be some very lucrative returns to be made on these options both ways. So I'm going to show you when to be bullish, when to buy, the call options and where to lock in profits. And then also the inverse as we trade both ways, where to be short biased, where to short, and where to buy the put options. We're going to be breaking down the best setups at the best prices. I'm going to be showing you the key critical levels on where to get in and where to lock in your profits, where to set your stop. With that being said, I did end up making 2 trades today. The first one was a big win. At the peak, I was up 60%, locked in half at 53%, and then locked in the rest for a smaller win. And then I ended up making a second trade. It was a much smaller win, about 7 to 15% in that sense in terms of the average if you were to combine it all together. But regardless, the first trade was phenomenal. The second trade was frustrating, but it did end up being a small win. With that being said, I'm going to be teaching you the technical strategies, throughout this video. I'm going to be recapping the trades that were made today. Traders Society is consistently killing it, guys. I got to give a big shout out to the members within the program, man. This guy is absolutely killing it. Ended up making a $3,000 profit on a swing and SPY this morning. And then right here, RSX options absolutely printed 180% return. Then he ended up buying puts on the SPY towards that morning spike, playing for the gap to fill. Ended up making another 2K, up 5K on the day. My guy Paul is sitting at a $250 profit. My guy Bobby, he is still consistently crushing it. Huge shout out to Bobby, man. Ended up finishing the day up over $742. Vincent ended up making 11K, absolutely killing it in terms of that trade that he posted right there. Private sector Pythons is back at it again. This is the guy who made a 325% return within the past week. His portfolio is up 10% on the day, $600 profit. Very, very nicely done. And then here we go again. Same guy, absolutely crushing it on the Tesla puts, 9% profit, $1,000 profit right there. My guy Slap consistently killing it as well. Very, very nicely done. I can see the profits have increased. And then this person just joined the program a couple days ago, started, getting in on the alerts, and they ended up making a little bit over $1,700 profit. So we're consistently crushing it. I'm going to be breaking down the trade recap and the watch list recap as well. The watch list had some phenomenal plays. I mean, just look at this play right here in terms of the watch list. AMD gap to fill at $113.83, which was nearly the low of day. This will be a strong buy if support can form at that level. Ride it back up to $116 plus. I believe it went over $118. There was some great plays within this watch list, I'm telling you. So we're going to be breaking down that as well towards the end of this video. First things first, let's start off with the update, right? So in terms of the update, what are my views on SPY? If you guys have been watching my videos on the SPY, I've been telling you guys by the end of the week, towards the end of the week, that's when I think we're going to see this gap fill. There's a gap to fill on the SPY right here. It's a very small gap at $446.60. It's also a key resistance level with huge downside potential. So that's where my interest is in terms of, taking a nice macro trade for a swing trade. If we can get a bearish candlestick on the daily, it's going to be a macro swing like this. Buy the puts at 446.60 for a micro trade as well. So there's going to be 2 potential trades, a day trade and a swing trade. To swing trade, it has to be a bearish candle at that key level. But the point being is, SPY is trying its best to fill this gap at 446.60. I do believe, and I still stand by, that gap is going to fill. Many people doubted me within the comments, when it was having a very nice red day on Monday. But here we are, and we just continue to approach that gap fill level as it has ripped to almost $440 today, and it ripped to $439.53, I believe, in extended hours yesterday. With that being said, I believe history is repeating itself. I think that's what we're seeing. So I'm going to show you this quick pattern on the SPY, and you could see right here. Let me just focus on this pattern right here. So, I mean, just look at this pattern, right? You see how you have this green move right here. See how you have this green move right here. And then you have 4 straight red days. And then you have 4 straight red days. And then you have a massive gap down, and it rips back up, fills the gap, closes above the gap. Then you have a massive gap down, right, on its 5th day right here. And then it closes above the gap and closes green. And then what happens after that? It trades in a channel for 4 days straight. It goes back and forth from 427 to 440s, 4 days straight. 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens on the 5th day? it starts to break out, it starts to run. So where are we now in terms of this pattern? And the reason why I'm pointing this pattern out is because it's repeating itself in a very similar cycle, which is what history tends to do at key critical levels. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. We're now 4 days into the channel of just bouncing back and forth in between that 420s to 438 range. And I called this out very, very early into the week, giving you guys the best levels to play puts and play calls. You know, we had people playing calls yesterday when this was at 429.40. With that being said, you know, if this pattern continues to repeat itself and it's trying its best to, SPY could potentially gap up tomorrow. So if this pattern does continue to repeat itself and SPY is green tomorrow and it's gapping up, we're going to see 446.60 tomorrow. If SPY can stay green and gap up tomorrow, I do believe we'll see 446.6 tomorrow if it can stay green. Regardless, though, we are on track for a gap fill. And if history continues to repeat itself, it's going to be tomorrow. If not, I think it's going to happen by Friday. So that's kind of my views in terms of the SPY. And you might be wondering, well, how are you planning to play it from here, right? What's going to be the moves from here? So it could hit 446.60. One thing I want you to understand is we got to go over key critical levels. There is 2 gaps that are waiting to fill, and there's going to be a new one potentially. So let's break this down. So first things first, the best price to buy the calls, and there is a possibility that it could go back here before going to 446. If not, then it goes to 446, forms resistance, then it starts to fill this gap. So in terms of buying the SPY, in terms of buying the dip, your best level is going to be right here at $429.98. That's going to be your best level. There's a gap to fill there. Within time, that gap will fill, right? So with that being said, when this price alert triggers, I see consolidation, I see my bullish confirmations, my indicators go off, right? I'm going to buy it and then ride it back up, right? Towards the higher end of the channel. Now, in terms of where we're at right now, we're towards the higher end of the channel. So SPY keeps on hitting this key resistance at 438. As you can see, today's the day it's starting to break out. With that being said, this is going to be your new key critical resistance level moving forward. I want you to understand this. This 437.89 where SPY closed today. So the SPY closed at $437.89. So if SPY gaps down tomorrow, if it gaps down, what you're going to want to do is wait for this gap to fill, then buy the calls. That's what you're going to want to do. So if it gaps down, just do nothing. If it gaps down, wait for it to go back down. Once this gap fills, then you buy the calls with the bullish confirmation. Now, if it rips back up, so say SPY gaps down, then it rips back up. So it gaps down, opens up lower this, it rips back up. If you see 437.89 react as a resistance level, buy the puts, play for the gap to fill below. Right? So if you see 437.89, if it gaps down, it shoots back up, it closes the gap, use the gap close reversal strategy. So you see a gap down tomorrow, it shoots back up. That's going to be that key level 437.89 to play the puts, right? And then what I also want you to understand is, so say the SPY gaps up. So if SPY gaps up tomorrow, I'm not going to be playing puts on that until it hits 446.60. Once it hits 446.60 and fills that gap, so say it gaps up tomorrow, 446.60, that's where I'm looking to play some micro puts. If it closes red on the daily, then I'll look to enter swing puts right before the market closes. Need the bearish confirmation on the daily. So that's the game plan. Very, very simple stuff. I'm going to detail this out in the watch list. Within Trader Society, we're going to break it down, into market open, into pre-market, and then we'll be laser focused on the trades. So your key levels moving forward, 429.98 to dip buy calls, 437.89. If that reacts as support, it starts breaking out above that level, SPY will be on track to see that 446.60 gap fill. Till then, it's just going to continue to try to pull back. With that being said, we are seeing true signs of strength that within some time, we're going to see that gap to fill. So that's how I'm planning to play it. We're going to be breaking this down, like I said, towards market open within Trader Society. I strongly believe, man, the way this is looking, we're going to have some phenomenal setups coming on the SPY. So like I said, if this gap's down, the buy zone is here towards 430. The put zone is at 437.89. If this gaps up, I'm waiting for puts at 446.60. In the meantime, I'm just going to let it do its thing. Say it gaps up, it comes back down. If 437.89 reacts as a support level, it fills that gap. It reacts to support at 437.89. Strong buy, right? So if it gaps up, goes back down to 437.89 before filling that gap at 460.6, it's going to be a strong buy if it reacts to support level. And these are key critical levels with big upside, big downside. So I'm going to be rocking tight stop losses like a $1 stop. So if it goes $1 against me, I cut the options. Very, very simple stuff. So that's how I'm planning to, play SPY. I'm very interested. I'm telling you, it's going to be a high. Tomorrow should be a phenomenal day. This is going to be a great setup. So in terms of stocks that are on my radar, we had AMD, man. This was such a good play from the watch list. In terms of AMD, this was a phenomenal play. Like we called it out within the watch list at 9:20 a.m. There was a gap to fill at 113.83. This is going to be a strong buy to ride back up to 116. Shout out to anybody who played this. We got the bullish confirmations as soon as the gap filled. There was bullish, confirmations. I was busy with trading SPY. I don't like to enter multiple trades at once. I just focus on one. I was focused on the SPY, crushed it, with the puts on the morning spike. But you could see as soon as it filled the gap right here, it started reacting as support, reacted as support, reacted as support. Once it starts breaking out, reacts as support, reacts as support. You're going to want to buy into that and then ride it back up to fill this gap that's waiting to fill above right here towards 123.47. If the SPY can rip to 446, AMD can rip to 120. 33. With that being said, my level of interest for put options on AMD since the best price triggered, to dip buy, it was all stated within the watch list. You could have done that, self-sufficient trading, right? Best price for the puts is going to be at 123.30. As of now, don't have much interest in it for the moment. PayPal's looking interesting. It's at a make it or break it key zone at this 104.90 to 106. If it cracks 104.90, you're going to see a massive pullback to about 98.50. If it continues to hold this 106, you're going to see a gap fill play. You're going to see a run to about 110. It's looking interesting. The chart is starting to look a little bit more bullish here on the micro. It looks like it wants to pop, so we'll see for that. If it's green, it looks like a buy for the micro. IRNT is pushing up. So with that being said, I'm telling you guys, when IRNT hits this $6.11 level, that's when you're going to want to look to play the puts. You see this stock react as resistance. It's starting to pull back at 611. You're going to want to play some puts on this and ride it back down. So that's my level of interest for that, for the gap close reversal. Same thing for OCGN. Once this can rip to $4.23, you're going to want to play the puts. Got my price alert set on that. Duncan, this was a nice trading opportunity from the video that I posted yesterday. I told you guys when Duncan cracks this key level right here, it cracked the key level, reacted as resistance, all stated within yesterday's video. Could have done very well with those put options. It went from $23.50 to $22. The puts absolutely printed. Say you were to buy a $23 strike, slightly out of the money. Let's see. So a $23 strike on Duncan, slightly out of the money. So right here, say you were to buy those in terms of confirmation, go back to the video I showed you guys. If you see this 23.50 crack and react as a resistance like it did right here, this is resistance, right? You're going to want to play the puts. So if you were to play the puts right here into this confirmation at like 23.40 at 9:46 a.m., let's see how well you could have done on those particular situation. Right here is 9:46 a.m. This is literally where the video told you about the puts. 80 cents to $1.42. Nearly a 90% return in like 1 hour. That was all within the video watch list yesterday. AMD, the calls went crazy. That was a phenomenal play from the watch list. There's so much opportunity within this watch list, so make sure you keep an eye on those as well. There's opportunity everywhere within this market. Say you were to go with the 116 strike that expires on March 4th. Say you were to play these. So in terms of where we should be buying, there's great confirmations around here towards 11 a.m. These are great confirmations that it's holding above the key level. So say you were to buy these at like 11 a.m., right? At 11 a.m., these were trading at $2. These were trading at like 2:10 at 11 a.m. They went all the way to 450. Absolutely printed from the watch list. So much opportunity. NVIDIA put options. I'm waiting for this gap to fill. Looking to buy some NVIDIA puts once this gap can fill at 265. 265.11. That's another setup I'm looking for. So for me, in terms of micro right now, it's mainly just trading SPY. Within some time, these price alerts that I told you guys, that I've been telling you guys within these videos. There's going to be the ones coming up within some time. It's just going to take some more time, like OCGN eventually, IRNT eventually. New plays are going to come around. But just from the video watch list and the written watch list, the update that I sent out this morning, there was an opportunity on Duncan, there was an opportunity on AMD, and I decided to go with SPY. That was my play. So now I'm going to start recapping the trades. So in terms of, the trade recaps, this is where I post, my trades within real time, the best setups. With that being said, you can see right here. So in terms of March 2nd, at 9:53 a.m., I decided to buy SPY puts at $2.33, 434 strike. Max risk was 435. With that being said, I sold 1/3 for a 20% for a 20% win 5 minutes later. And then I ended up adding at 10:06 a.m. So check this out. I traded the SPY so much better than I had traded it yesterday, especially compared to my morning trading. Like this time, I didn't get spooked out on the spike. I ended up holding through in terms of the morning, and then I added. It was great. So let me show you. So in terms of why did I buy SPY put options at, and by the way, for those of you who are not in Trader Society, I'm going to leave, it's going to be the second link if you want to get a feel and if you want to watch the live trading session. So the recording, it's saved. If you want to watch the live trading session we did this morning, it's going to be the second link in the description. That's going to be my gift to you because I'm telling you the educational value within that is phenomenal. You should definitely watch that webinar that we did this morning. It's going to show you how we traded this. But with that being said, why did I decide to buy puts at 9:53 and why did I decide to lock in 1/3 at 9:58 a.m. and then why did I decide to add more at 10:06 a.m. So let's get into this. So SPY had a gap up and it was a small gap up. It gapped up from 430, very small gap up, topped out at 434.70 in the morning. So it wasn't a big gap up. It was fairly small. And I was studying how SPY has, recently been reacting to this key 435 level. 435 is like a make it or break it level for SPY. So if it reacts as resistance, if the SPY reacts as resistance at 435, it's going to start to break down and it's going to start to fill the gap below. I've also been studying how SPY has been reacting lately when it has a small gap up. For example, and you can see this is the same thing that happened today, except it didn't completely fill the gap. SPY had a morning spike. It was a very small gap up. It crunched up, forming a double top, and then it sold off. That's exactly what happened today, except for today, it didn't go all the way down to fill the gap, which is why you always got to be locking in profits along the way and leave small size on for the bigger win, right? That's exactly how I played this, and the ads were perfect. But I was looking at this pattern where, it has the morning spike, small gap up, it starts to form the double top. 435 is a key critical resistance level as well. If it reacts as a resistance, you're looking at a nice pullback to fill the gap below. So I was looking at that. And then I kept going back throughout the chart history, and I just noticed this consistent pattern where it has this small gap up, it starts to spike, and when it forms that key resistance at a key level, it likes to quickly go back down to fill the gap, and then once it fills the gap, it likes to potentially have a reversal depending on that key level that the SPY is trading at. So I'm kind of walking you through like multiple variables that kind of led me to trading this. But like I said, the 435 level is a key level of resistance. So, SPY lately, when it's been having small gaps up, it likes to go back down to fill that gap. And also 435 is a key make it or break it level. So if 435 reacts as a resistance, you can see it's got huge downside. And if it reacts as support and breaks out, it's got huge upside. So with that being said, I decided to grab the puts once I noticed bearish confirmations coming in at that key level, at that key 435 level, using my gap fill strategy, playing for this gap that's waiting to fill below 435. So in terms of my entry, in terms of confirmations, I ended up entering at 9:58 a.m. So, excuse me, it was at 9:53, right? So yeah, 9:53 a.m. 9:53 a.m. was right here, right before this nice drop where it went from 430, got in nearly towards the top once again. Then it had this very nice drop. As soon as it had that nice drop, I took off 1/3 because I'm well aware that when SPY cracks support, this is support here, when it cracks that and has a nice pullback quickly like this, what typically happens is, and what could happen is, it can spike back up. And then when it spikes back up, if it turns previous support into resistance, then it's bearish and you keep holding. If it starts breaking out, then it's trying to turn bullish. But if you get some bearish confirmations, like we started to get some bearish confirmations right here, that's where I added. And then I locked in 1/3 here because, like I said, there's key levels where you lock in profits. And when support cracks, these stocks tend to bounce back up. And sometimes they bounce back up to as high as or even higher to their previous support. right? So it's basically like giving back profit to aim for a bigger win. So you want to take some profits into the rug pulls, right? You don't want to take profits when it's ripping against you on your puts. You want to take your profits when it's into this rug pull. You want to take your profits when it's into this rug pull. So key support was right here at 432. If that were to crack, then we would have filled the gap. The problem is it consolidated, it held up, it never cracked. And then we had that speech, which caused the market to rally as well. But yeah, in terms of my exits were very, very spot on for the most part. The ad was phenomenal. 10:06 a.m. The entries were phenomenal. 10:06 a.m. is where I entered, which is right here on this candle. And then 9:53 a.m. is right here, which is where I entered. Entries were spot on. Sold 1/3 there, which makes perfect sense. Explain to you why. And then in terms of, selling half, I sold half at 340 and my entry was at $2.23. I sold half at 340. That's over a 50% return, 53% win. And then I'm still holding half. So then I sold, 25% of the half I was holding, at 260. And then I sold the rest at 235. I gave some back holding through that speech. I gave some back, but even that was a win with these big spikes. So the key is you got to be getting phenomenal entries. You got to identify 3 key levels where you're going to lock in profits. So my first level was here because this is key support. That's level 1. Second level is the middle right here. That's level 2. And then the third level, this is going to be level 3, is for the gap to fill. That's for the big win. If you're aiming for that big win, that third level, you only want to have about 30% of your size left, because it happens all the time where, these stocks hit their key levels. Say they hit the first level or they hit the second level, and then they just start going against you and they start reversing. It happens all the time. So if you're playing for the big win, you gotta be, only have like 20-30% of your size left. If not, then you're at risk to give back your entire profit and even turn that into a loss. And if you are going to turn that into a loss, it better be a small one, because you don't want to turn, a profit into a big loss. That's the worst feeling, especially when you're up 50% in a couple minutes. But yeah, that was my trade on SPY. And in terms of the rest of the exits, they were right here. The reason why I was exiting right here is because we had the massive spike up and it started to turn the key 434 level into support. A bunch of bottom wicks were forming, which is very, very bullish, plus the speech. So I decided to exit the rest there for the smaller win. With that being said, though, it averaged out to be about a 35% return if you were to take like the average on it. Now, in terms of my second trade, this one was very frustrating. One of the main reasons why is it was entered towards the end of the day. So with that being said, I took a starting position on a put, just very, very light starting position at 1:41 p.m. My average in terms of like my last trade buying these puts, these were all small wins. I traded multiple contracts. My average wins, like 7% small wins, had some 20% wins, had a 25% win, 18% win. It averaged out to be like a 15% win if you were to take all the totals, right? But it just wasn't going, my way. It took quite a bit of time. It was a very miserable trade. With that being said, like, best time to trade is like towards market open, when things are volatile. It's like ripping off a band-aid. It's either going to go your way or it's not. But if you're getting at the best price, like, you should do well overall. Like, this is what I like. I like the volatility. I like the big rug pulls. If you're trading midday or end of day, it's like hit or miss. Sometimes you're going to get a big move. Sometimes you're not going to get a big move. And SPY has been getting a lot of big moves towards the end of the day, especially around 2 p.m. So I wanted to try a put option towards that higher end of the channel, towards that, key level we discussed at 438. I wanted to try a put on that. With that being said, I ended up doing it when SPY hit 438.50, got squeezed a little bit as it went to 439.32. Held through that, and then I started locking in some profits on the dip, and then I started getting out on the rest towards break even. It was just, you could say it was just a boring, miserable trade of just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We didn't get that big move. We really didn't get that big move. I wanted to see at least 437 to 436 pullback. We just didn't get it. But the point being is, I bought those puts when SPY was at, in terms of my average and my ads and all that. Basically, I picked up the options when it was at 438.50. If you were to take the average of when I bought all the puts, and they were small, like 7 to 15% wins. We just couldn't get the big move. But it did end up, selling off nicely into the close. And if you were to buy puts towards the key level, like I even said, the best price to buy puts was at $440. I made that very clear. Best entry is 444. Made it clear that these were starting positions, smaller trades, stuff like that. But yeah, it was just nothing special. It's just not going to work in your favor every single time. But on that second trade, I'm just glad that I managed to get out with a win. You know, that's key. I managed to get out with a win on that second trade. And the key to that was just understanding that, you know, SPY, the price action is extremely choppy. It's not tracking support. It keeps trying to push for a new high of the day. So you got to take profits into these rug pulls when that's happening. Every time you get these nice little pullbacks, you lock in profits on these dips. I see too many people make the mistake where it dips down and they think it's going to go lower, so they hold, and then it rips back up, right? Imagine if I were to do that. You know, imagine if I didn't take off half of my profits when SPY was sitting at 431.80, right here towards the low of the day when I bought puts towards the top. Imagine if I didn't do that. I would have gave it all back, right? So it's like you got to lock in your profits at key levels. You can't just sit here and aim for these big wins. That's just the reality of trading, guys. Sometimes you can hit big, but like if you're hitting big, do it with light size, like do it with smaller size. Otherwise, you're just going to be giving back a lot of your profits the vast majority of the time. It's just how the game goes. You know, sometimes you get the big win, and then when you don't, you know, you can easily turn a nice, you know, say you're up 30, 40, 50%, you could easily turn that into a small to big win, especially a big win if you don't get out when it hits your stop loss. But yeah, that's the thoughts. That's the analysis on the trades. If you do want to be a part of Trader Society, I'm telling you guys, we are on a killer win streak. Like the win streak right now, it's absolutely insane, man. I've improved so much on my trading just within the past like 3 weeks on the SPY, just laser focused on it. Like I just keep crushing it, especially in the morning, because that's like the best volatile time to be trading. You could literally trade within the first 30 minutes on these options and just call it for the day. It could be a lot harder at times to trade during midday to power hour, because that's when it's not as volatile and it could be very choppy and it could be hit or miss like it was in today's sense. With that being said, though, if you do want to join Trader Society, it is going to be the first link down below in the description. All the information is explained there. It's going to be a one-time fee, and you do get lifetime access to everything included within the program. Just some of the things included within the program would be, you know, lifetime access to the live trading session that we do at Market Open. If you want to see what that's like, that's going to be the second link in the description where you can view the recording from today. And once you join the program, you know, you get instant access, lifetime access. You get started trading with us as soon as, you know, tomorrow morning, instantly. And then you could join the chat and watch the video lessons instantly. You also get access to the video lesson library, the education suite. That is going to teach you how to trade. That is going to show you how to trade the best setups at the best prices. That is going to show you the unique gap method that we're consistently using to make money. You know, the gap close reversal method, the gap fill strategies, all of the gap strategies that we're using combined into a unique trading system where you'll learn psychology and risk management and position sizing as well. You'll also get access to one-on-one direct messaging where you can message me or other members within the Discord chat privately. You can also ask me questions live on spot in the live trading sessions we do at Market Open. You also get lifetime access to the daily watch list and the real-time alerts, you know, the real-time trade alerts where whenever I enter, whenever I exit, you get access to that. And the real-time stock analysis, the commentary, the price action analysis that I give within the chat room, and the price alerts, you know, the key price alerts that I'm setting at these key levels, right? I'm telling you, this system is simplified. We're only looking to make, like the market has been on fire lately, so I've been trading a little bit more. We're really only to make like 2 to 4 amazing trades every single week, trade the best setups at the best prices, set our price alerts, and that's it, man. We're not sitting here all day watching these charts. We got our price alerts set. Once those price alerts start to trigger, then we're dialed in, waiting for confirmation. Once we get the confirmation, we take that trade. It's very, very simple strategy, and it's not time consuming. So with that being said, that's going to be the first link in the description if you do want to join Trader Society. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. I will see you tomorrow live at Market Open.